Absolute bedlam. Absolute bedlam. Absolute bedlam. Talking about topics and stuff. Absolute bedlam. Absolute bedlam. Absolute bedlam podcast. Who? What? Where? Why?
It's just going to be absolute bedlam now.
There we go.
Nestled deep within the heart of Yorkshire lies a rum so smooth that once it passes your lips, you'll never look back again. Combining the smooth tones of sweet fresh ginger, rich treacle and a lick of Yorkshire honey, Absolute Bedlam are proud to be partnered with the true Angel of the North. Two Lasses Spirits. Use code BedlamUK at checkout.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Absolute Bedlam podcast, now known as the EVOL show. How's it going? You alright?
I'm doing great today. Thank you, Ben.
That's okay. So yeah, we got Jennifer from MC EVOL, musician from America, a Lit Hop Academy student. So nicely into the whole academy learning side of things, I always ask my guests, how was child life? How was school/high school for MC EVOL?
Well, it was the first part. I was a pretty good rule follower, but then as I got a little older, I actually met my best friend, and she encouraged me to be less of a rule follower. So I know you've asked this question of other guests, so I gave it some thought before we chatted. And the one example I came up with was the massive party and betrayal of my parents that I orchestrated when I was about 16 years old. So, been, like I said, a rule follower. But my parents decided they were going to go out of town, and they trusted me. So I thought, oh, this is my opportunity to have that party. And I did it. And it was pretty epic. And it was, if you've seen those John Hughes movies from the 80s, that's kind of what I made happen in my house. And it was wonderful and fabulous. And I actually had to drive my best friend home the next morning, and I couldn't find my glasses. I mean, it was the best. But then I also, my parents came home and they noticed that I hadn't quite gotten the house cleaned up. And so I got the whole, we can't ever trust you again, Jennifer story. And in the end, though, it was worth it.
Absolutely.
They did eventually trust me again.
Yeah. Was there one thing that was slightly out of place, or was there one thing that was there a giveaway that you'd had a party?
The giveaway was that everything was sticky from things being spilled, and my mom was really, really, really into having things very clean, and so she noticed, and then they started asking questions, and I think actually something had gotten broken as well. Yeah. And then, it started to unravel, and I was not a good liar, so I folded pretty quickly.
Parents are hard, man. My friend, I had a house party once. I think I only ever had one, and my friend turned my TV up to the maximum volume, and that was the only thing that my next door neighbours then realised that it was very loud in the house. So that was the catalyst for everything. And then my mum was like, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. And I was like, oh no.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Yeah, I had to climb this mountain to get the trust back. So I do understand what you're saying. I feel it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We had a very similar experience and reaction.
Yeah. So outside of partying and driving your friends around, how was actual high school? Did you find it grounding? Did you find something that you wanted to do out of it, or was it just something that you had to go to and then you broke out after high school and you did your own thing from there?
It was pretty terrible. I grew up in Brookings, South Dakota, which is a smallish town in South Dakota, which is a not very populated area. And I was too weird, and I did not experience anything positive there. I was not normal, and everyone around me was normal. There was actually a college in that town, and my graduating class, 80% of my graduating class went to that college. They were all just there, and that was their life. And that wasn't for me. I wanted to break out of that. But yeah, I had to basically be alone, except for my best friend, and having a place to have a party, which is one of the reasons I had the party, is because I'm lonely. But I didn't have friends. Nobody understood me. I really I didn't get to blossom until I got to college, and then realized, oh, there's people like me in the world. I can have some friends now. So yeah. It was not good. I did not like high school.
Fair enough. Can you remember / admit to the naughtiest thing that you can remember doing or being involved in at high school?
I can't remember anything like super naughty at school in particular. But I do remember something that I would always do to sort of tweak people was the clothes I would wear. And one day I wore my Frankie Goes to Hollywood t-shirt, and I got chased around the school because I don't even know why I was chased, but I had my pin and my shirt, and I felt so cool, so much cooler than everyone I knew. And I got chased around. So I didn't really have anyone to be naughty with. But as I got older, I definitely encouraged my friends to, do things they shouldn't do, and just live life, and be naughty later in life, I think is when it came out.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, you can do your own thing when you're not underneath your parents' house and all that sort of stuff. You can be a bit more independent, and if you fail, then that's up to you and all that sort of stuff. You're not constrained to the boundaries of education and all that stuff. So yeah, there we go. So how did you first meet MC LARS?
I first met MC LARS. Well, I first found out about MC LARS on Sirius Radio. He was a DJ. And he just had this like effervescent personality. He was so positive. And then later, my husband found out, oh, hey, that DJ from Sirius, he makes music. He's MC LARS. So we started listening. I became just a giant fan. I listened for years, and then had a chance to see him at South by Southwest in 2012. And that was pretty cool. That was, I stood in front for the whole show. It was a nerdcore show. It was Schaefer. I was MC front a lot. It was just amazing. And I literally stood there all night, like 6 or 7 hours, which was really, I didn't drink any water. Just hung out. That was the first time I met him. And then he came to Minnesota to do a show later in 2016. And he decided to add a songwriting workshop before that show. And I was like, oh my God, a songwriting workshop? That sounds like fun. Because I've always been a writer, really like to write poetry. So I went to the songwriting workshop with MC LARS, and it changed my life because doing the exercises, I just kept writing bars after that. And I did that for like 6 to 8 months. And then realized I need to make music to go with all of this. I had this pile of words, right? And so I did research about that. How can I make music? What can I do? And through that process, I ended up finding, the DAWs, all the DAWs you have to pick from. I didn't even know what DAW, D-A-W, meant. It was very confusing. But I chose something called Ableton because it had this cool, like, input device that I could get. And that seemed easier because I really don't play instruments except a flute, like when I was in high school growing up. And yeah, so I started to play with that, tried to learn how to make music on YouTube, and that didn't go very well. So about a year later, I did a search. I said, I need a class. I can't do this on my own. So I went to search for class Ableton, Minneapolis, which is where I live now. And I kind of would like to be on Monday nights. That would be nice. That would be convenient for my schedule. And lo and behold, this thing comes up from this place called Slam Academy. They're starting a class for Ableton on Monday nights in 3 weeks. So I started taking that class, and that's where I started to learn how to actually make my own music for these words. But it all came from MC LARS, and it all came from that songwriting class in 2016.
Awesome. Love that. So, Andrew, that's his name, guys, MC LARS.
Yes.
His name is Andrew. I'm not just talking about some guy I met on the street called Andrew. So, he complimented me a couple of months back on a 2-year anniversary episode that I did, because he really helped me. He provided me with a really good interview, and it was nice when you speak to someone and you know it's them, it's not their PR person, it's not their manager, it's not someone that's a go-between. And he was like, thanks, Ben, I'd love to come on your podcast and promote Blockchain Planet, which is still available now, by the way, guys. Andrew, you absolutely have to send me an invoice. The amount of promotion I'm going to give you in this episode is absolutely bananas. And yeah, great album, fantastic album. And yeah, he just seemed really able to, because I'm quite a realist, but I sometimes come off as quite negative. So I was asking him how his son was and how he likes parent life and all that sort of stuff. And I said to him, do you realise how much sleep you weren't going to get when you became a father? And he span it around, like you said earlier. He's he's got a bit of a glow about him. And yeah, I think he's a fantastic mentor. And he's good at listening to people, and he's also good at giving little anecdotes. But he doesn't kind of talk for 30 minutes without letting anyone, say anything back. So shout out.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic.
He's also wicked smart, and he can synthesize things like this and just turn it around. And yeah, all of those things plus definitely.
Yeah. So the Lit Hop Academy, did you find out about that just through this Ableton thing, or did you find it through Facebook ads or on a website somewhere, or was it very much you saw a poster in the real world and jumped on it from there?
Well, I actually think I might have been the inception, because so I spent some of this time with Slam Academy, as I was saying, and got to the point where I was making actual music, putting that together with my words. And then I thought, I need help. I need more help. How do I make these things into art? How do I do this? So I had been a Patreon supporter of Andrew for a while, and had met him. I think I'd met him a couple times after, not just the shows in South by Southwest. And I reached out and I said, this is weird, wacky idea, but would you have any time to, spend teaching me how to do this? Essentially, I don't remember exactly what my words were. But then he reached out and was like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. Let's do something. So we started these lessons that very, very quickly turned into what he called the Lit Hop Academy. And then the pandemic happened. So that all started kind of right before the pandemic. I think maybe 2019 or the end of 2018 potentially. And then as the pandemic happened, with the world changing, it gave him the opportunity to add new students and have like a real Lit Hop Academy. So yeah, I think I'm the first one.
Nice. It must be wild to do that all online through Zoom calls and through a virtual platform and never actually get to meet Andrew. Obviously you met him in the real world first and then you transitioned to online, but there must have been a couple of students that have just met him through this platform and this interface, so that must have been quite an experience for people. Do you still do it now? Do you have like a set time?
I do. Yeah, I'm still. He's doing them monthly right now, and so I check in monthly. And this year there's going to be a Lit Hop Academy mixtape, so we're working on a track for that as well.
That's cool. Love that. He's got some good ideas, that guy. Yeah.
So many. It's true. It's true.
So we're promoting is it the Lit Hop Lessons? Is that your most recent musical thing?
That is the album, yes, that came out in October.
And how has the reception of that been so far?
It's been a really interesting experience in a good way, because I haven't been through that process before. It was the first album I ever released. So I got so much good guidance from Andrew in terms of how to do that, how to approach that. And the reaction has been really, really positive for me. Maybe not like tons and tons of people. But I kind of see this album too as just the starting point of where I want to go. Just at every point in your creative process, just kind of, all right, this is this phase now and this phase. So I really appreciate how everything came together, and I got to feel really proud of this work. And I'll probably keep talking about it for a long time because things, things surface at different times, right? Sometimes something might be ahead of its time or behind its time, and the relevancy there can be, it changes based on what's going on in the world. And a lot of my music is more, it's less timely, it's more timely. It's less tied to the specific thing or event, in most cases.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it sounds very robotic and very sort of futuristic and cybery. It's got a very sort of MC LARS sense about it, where you're not afraid to use words that make you think, rather than, I went to the shop and I bought some food. You're using long words and you're finding beats in the background to syncopate with those things. So if you're about to use a long word, then you'll find the rhythm to allow that word to be said properly without it getting cut off halfway through. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
It's been really... Thank you.
That's all right.
It has been really interesting to figure out how words and beats come together and how you can manipulate things to have them be different than sort of the norm, but have them still work aesthetically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of experimentation. I'm into that.
Yeah, awesome. So what is your new creative process like now that you have a mentor, compared to back in the day when you said you were writing poetry? What's the sort of number one thing that you've realised that you needed to change, or you're still changing to this day?
I think creative process is always evolving, right? So I was just telling MC LARS about this, how I'm working on how to shift my process this year so that I can put out more singles and so that I can be better at the production of the music. I have a producer I work with a lot, but I also want to be able to do my own so that I only have limited time to spend with that producer. So that means there's only limited time to get the music out. So in terms of process, it's really figuring out what you're good at doing that, getting better, more efficient at that. And then in terms of the things where you need help, making sure you're kind of maximizing where you're getting that help too. So this year it's about that, like, how can I evolve it so I can do more, I can put more out in the world, more singles. And a part of that is just because I have so many songs.
Yeah.
And if they're not out and done, then they're sort of like living in my head, and that can be really challenging when you've got like 5 or 6 little things dancing around that you're trying to, you know, bring to fruition.
How do you feel when songs get released into the world when you press like publish to Spotify? Do you feel a sense of relief that it's now not in your head, or do you get a feeling of, when you listen back to it, some people don't listen back to their stuff, some people don't even watch their own films. I think Leonardo DiCaprio is a good example. But do you feel sometimes like, oh man, I could have added a drum beat to that, which, you know, is this ever-changing, like, what is a finished album? You know, how do you know when stuff's done? What do you think about that?
I think I try to live with no regrets. So I do like to listen to the old things I've made, but they're done, right? They're done. And something that MC LARS says a lot, which has really been helpful, keep it moving. Keep it moving. You know, you can't let things just sit and be in your, everything can't take up that much space. So if there's more things, they each need a little less space. So if you're thinking about, oh, I could have made that better, then you're not thinking about, you're not moving forward. So keep it moving.
Nice, love that. Awesome. Last question I'm going to ask, and we'll go to a quick break, is how have you used R Drive personally and in your work? And R Drive, you absolutely owe me money for mentioning R Drive. How have you found that?
We just put the Lit Hop album up about a month ago. So, and then we did a podcast talking about that. So what I'm hoping to do this year is I want to release the singles on R Drive first is kind of what I'm thinking, and then put them out on the other players. But put them there first, because I think that'll be just an interesting kind of way to think about how they go out into the world, how they stay in the world. And yeah, so I will have more on that later.
Nice.
About how that goes.
Awesome, because I know Andrew's obviously quite deeply involved with R Drive, and I need to give it a go myself. I'm planning to actually get someone from R Drive on the podcast at some point, but I want to try and space things out, because I've had, you know, MC LARS on twice. I've had Cowboy Coda, who I might mention in a minute, and now I've got MC EVOL, so I want to try and space it so it's not just like crypto blockchain month. And
yes.
Then, you know, if people aren't interested in that, then they'll be like, oh, I'll just skip the next 5 episodes. And I want people to listen to every episode, because, you know, I put a lot of effort into this, guys.
Yes.
So yeah, awesome. Right, we'll go to a quick break. We'll talk about playing live next, and concert experiences. And yeah, thanks for sticking around, and thanks for listening, guys. I'll speak to you shortly.
Recording stopped.
Right, so MC EVOL's back, and she's sorted her hat out slightly. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you can have a look for yourself. So playing live, obviously it's important for an artist to be able to perform live and to be able to perform, you know, a catalogue of work, the finished product. What's your experiences with playing live, and have you got any planned for the future?
Playing live is still a huge chasm in my work. So I have not played live as MC EVOL. I have definitely done lots and lots of performing in my past. I've got a theater degree and a lot of spoken word kinds of performances. But I focused first on figuring out how to write the music, to make the music. And now I think that'll be the next phase, is figuring out how to play live.
Nice. So I'm going to keep going back to him because obviously he's your tutor and your mentor. MC Lars used to play, I think it was something like 250 shows a year at one point, and he would just take a laptop to a gig. And I inadvertently saw him at a charity festival really, really close to my hometown in the UK quite a while ago. But I was kind of helping run the event, so I wasn't really too at the centre of everything, you know, I wasn't really going as a spectator. But have you got some plans to do that? And when you do play live, it's important to be adaptable in terms of, as a rapper and a nerdcore artist, are you planning to play the show with a backing track, or are you planning to play the show as a full backing band with session musicians?
I would likely do it with backing tracks. I think what ultimately I'd love is to have, dancers and other people like that as part of a show and a performance. So I think I would think about my performing live more in terms of a show because of that theatrical background I have, and probably less performances as I go into that component or aspect of my career. That's how I would think about it. I also do want to correct, I have performed on stage as MC EVOL twice with MC LARS doing the Raven puppet.
Nice.
I forgot about that.
Love that. Get that on YouTube, guys, if there's a video out there. I'm sure it's up. Fantastic. Gigs with Cowboy Coda or anyone of that nature, have you got anything in the pipeline to go on tour? And, say that does come to fruition, then what would your sort of arrangement be for opening, main support, headline?
Like for a show?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really great question. I don't have an answer though. I'm sorry.
That's alright, that's fine. I'll have to get you on some gigs at some point soon. Because I know MC Lars has a ton of connections, and I'm sure he can hook you up with a UK tour. Would you be open to that, or would you like to play locally in your area and then spread out? Or would you like to just get your passport, hop on a plane and go anywhere?
I think it really would matter where the fans were at, right?
Yeah.
If there were fans, then yeah, I think that would be amazing to go play for those fans.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the headliner brings the people, and the opener and main support kind of, in a way, they kind of, well, I don't know what the expression is, but they feed off of that audience. Like, if I get a really big guest on here, then a lot of that person's audience will come over and listen to some guy from the UK talk a load of rubbish. And hopefully through doing that, you get bigger as a person and you develop your own character, and then everything starts going your way and you get bigger guests and everything grows together. Have you met Cowboy Coda?
I haven't met Cowboy Coder.
No?
Not yet.
Is he close to you? I don't really know how the US sort of state map works, really. I can't really remember where he's from.
I don't remember either. I don't think so.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look live. I know I've got him in the Twitter DMs because I recorded an episode of him probably about 6 months ago now. And he was lovely. I can't remember his real name.
Yeah, I listened to that episode. It was good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he's doing all sorts of stuff at the moment. Oh yeah, okay. I made friends with a robot this weekend. MC Lars. Yeah. Retweeting things. Oh, bless him. He's retweeting some of my stuff. That's nice. I'm so sorry, Cowboy Coda. I cannot remember your name.
Oh.
But there we go. Yeah, I'm sure I'll remember it as soon as I press recording stop.
Absolute bedlam.
Shanty Spirit, based in Bournemouth, UK. Dorset Botanical Seaweed Vodka. So I met these at Bournemouth Air Show 2 years ago, and I wanted to get them on the podcast, which I've done in the previous episode, and I wanted to speak to them and promote their products because I think they're onto a winner. So this is vacuum distilled for fresher flavours. Lots and lots of different seaweeds go into this amazing vodka. Doesn't taste like the usual stuff that you get from the supermarkets. It's got a bit of a sort of story to it and a bit more of a twist. It's had some awards, and I'm hooking you guys up. If you go to www.shantyspirit.com and you type in the code Bedlam discount for either 20cl or 70cl bottles, then you'll get 10% off your purchase. Shanty Spirit, drink to enjoy, drink responsibly.
Absolute bedlam.
Yes, exactly.
That's all right. So next question. Is music a hobby for you at the moment? Is the plan to eventually be able to make a living out of doing this? Or are you quite happy to just leave it or just see what happens and see what comes out the other side from relentless hard work, relentless touring, and probably waking up to the phone in your hand recording a beat in the middle of the night?
I have a day job that I truly love, and music, I want to make the music I want to make. I want to make the art I want to make. So my day job lets me do that. So definitely I would say in the hobby space, but you never know what happens in life or where things go or how things shift. So I'm always open to possibilities of things shifting and changing. But for now, as I develop the craft and still have to figure out how to perform live, I am not making any plans to make it my living. But I feel like what the art I'm making is unique enough that there are some people out there who need it. So I'm going to keep making it, and I feel pretty lucky to be in that position, definitely, because I know there's a lot of people who have this passion and they don't have the ability to, to get the tools or to have the space or have the mentors, because they don't have those resources. So I feel really fortunate to be in this position of it being my hobby and my art.
I will say as well to the people that are thinking about pursuing a career, be it writing music, be it playing music, being a session musician for another band, or just starting your own podcast, the first thing that I will always say to anyone is just start doing something, because it's going to slowly start eating away at you. I'm very lucky that I've got a very good microphone. I've got a pretty decent phone, which I use for notes and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, the reason this begins and is a thing every week is because I am consistent. And it's great being able to write a song a year and it's the best song ever made, but you need to, like we said earlier before the break, is keep it going. You need to build up a rhythm, and you need to fight that voice in your head telling you that you can't do stuff, because that voice has claimed way too many people's minds now, and we all need to break out of it and just try stuff, just do it. And if it's rubbish, then take it down. Unless it's on the blockchain, in which case you can't take it down.
Don't put it on the blockchain if you're worried about that, right?
That's it. Yeah. We've got a bit of a silly question. Favourite animal and favourite animal noise?
Oh, definitely dogs. I love them so much. I've been actually really sucked into Instagram dogs lately. That is just a deep hole.
Yeah. Nice.
And animal noise, that's a great question. Probably the caw-caw, caw-caw. I don't even know what animal that is, but I think that noise is my favorite.
Probably going to say a crow or a bird.
Something like
Some
that,
sort of
yeah.
raven, maybe,
Crow.
if you remember the
Maybe a raven, yes.
full circle. Full circle moment. Best gig you've been to as a spectator? You can have more than one if you want, because obviously that's a big question.
Okay. Well, this isn't actually a gig, but it is the best live thing I've ever seen. Was Lily Tomlin and her performance of Search for Intelligent Signs of Life in the Universe, because she plays about 40 different characters. It's amazing.
Okay, check that out.
And then in terms of live gigs, I would say my favorite have been Laurie Anderson shows.
Okay.
Performance artist Laurie Anderson.
You have to send me.
And then in terms of most fun, I have to say my the Four Horsemen,
Okay.
which is MC Lars and Schaefer the Dark Lord and MC Frontalot and Mega Ran.
Yeah, Mega Ran. I was meant to get him on at one point, but we just couldn't quite pin a date down.
Connect.
So I might have to pick that back up at some point.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Have you met Brendan from Wheatus? He occasionally pops up on stage randomly from the sounds of it.
I haven't. We usually see them in Minneapolis, and
Yeah.
I don't know if Brendan's ever here.
He's such a nice person. I definitely recommend speaking to him. He's just so humble and down to earth.
I love that. I love that when
Yeah.
people, they've had success and they're still just wonderful humans.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Favorite...
So many people who are not like that, right?
Yeah, they definitely. They're the ones that stick out as well, which is annoying.
Right? They get all the attention.
Yeah. Favorite film / screenplay?
Harold and Maude.
Okay.
It's a really old one. Really old one.
Okay.
I love that one though because it's do you know the movie at all?
No, I'll have to check it out.
Okay, so it's a young man and a grandmotherly aged woman. I think she's in her 70s or 80s maybe. And they kind of like fall in love, sort of. But it's this really interesting adventure that they have, and it's just so life affirming in terms of, and funny in silly ways.
Having a look. Harold and Maude.
Harold and Maude.
1971.
I know.
I was minus 18 years old. Wow. Yeah, I'll check that out. It's only an hour and a half, so I'll give that a watch at some point. Sometimes I struggle with finding these things now that we live in this world where everything's like Netflix, Amazon Prime. What's the other one? I can't remember. But yeah, I find old films really difficult to. Yeah, obviously in the US, you've got stuff like Hulu and all sorts of things like that, haven't you? And
all the networks have their own. Like I think in the BBC, you just have the BBC, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got iPlayer.
iPlayer. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Awesome. Yeah, I'll check that out definitely. So we're running out of questions. We're going through this very, very quickly. What can I ask next? So next chapter for MC EVOL is live. Have you got all of the gear ready for that? Are you ready for the challenge of getting up on a stage and playing to people? I
think that is probably a little further out. But I've definitely been thinking about what I need to do. I have a live mic. One thing I want to explore in terms of performance and live performance is also virtual performances. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of interesting things happening just in terms of, avatars or different ways that things can manifest. And I'm really, really interested in diving into, doing it in a different way. Because I kind of tend to not do things the way other people do them. And it takes me longer sometimes, but I'm able to find things that really work for me. So in terms of all of that experimentation, I still need to get a body of work. I feel like more, you know. I was listening to a YouTube like set of YouTube videos about music marketing this weekend, and the advice they were giving was, you know, you've got to have like 50 released songs before anyone is like really paying any attention. So I'm not there yet. So I think it's like creating that body of work and then simultaneously thinking about how I can do it faster, but also how I can perform it and kind of bring it to life, right? Live performance, that's bringing it to life. Are there other ways to do that? That's kind of some of the things I've been thinking about.
Yeah, it's important to have a theme, and when you're changing it and evolving and coming up with different concepts, and you're still being MC EVOL, but you're trying a different sort of spin on everything. I think there's a good band that I don't really listen to anymore, but I need to get back on it, is Billy Talent. I think they are a really good example of, they changed their music a lot, but they're still centric to the Billy Talent universe, to the point where if you could listen to a couple of lines of one of their songs, you'd be like, that's Billy Talent, that's Ben on vocals, and that's Ian Desai on guitar and stuff like that. So yeah, lots of things coming forward then, lots of things to look forward to.
Also, I think it's important to think about collaborating with others to stretch yourself and see how you intersect with that, right? And what can come out of those collaborations. I've been lucky enough to have 2 of those, one with MC LARS and one with Beefy. And it's just really fun to work with someone else and like see what they bring and how that evolves and shapes and shifts it. I am open-minded to, like, I'm not precious about anything because that's silly. Like, you're better off if you do a million things and just like keep going, and you know, the preciousness just makes everything really rare and just too, I don't know, preciousness isn't good in my opinion.
Yeah, the future is collaboration and allowing yourself to give music to people, and they can put a spin on it and give it back to you, and they'll say, what do you think of this verse, rather than being like, this is my castle, stay out. Because eventually you're going to put it out into the world, and people are going to tell you what they think of it, whether you like it or not. So,
that's right. That's right. If you're lucky, if you're, you know, otherwise, if you hear nothing, then, you know, that's almost worse in some ways.
Yeah, definitely. This is just a question for my own personal sanity, because the Absolute Bedlam channel on YouTube, I don't know if people have noticed, but I've been going pretty hard on Prime Energy. So in the US, in Walmart, have you seen Prime at all in the supermarkets over there?
What is it?
It's a hydration drink. I did have a
Oh! Okay.
I don't have one anymore. There's a lot of me chugging it in the Harbinger episode that I did recently on YouTube. It's a blue bottle.
Okay.
But there's so many different flavours and stuff, and it's Logan Paul and KSI's business that they've just started about a year ago.
Okay.
They were recently on the Super Bowl commercial, and they're looking at getting a $1 billion brand very, very quickly. And apparently in Walmart, you can see all of it, whereas in Asda, in the UK, you very rarely see anything.
Interesting.
Stuff just gone. As soon as it touches that shelf in the UK, it's gone. So I just want to know if it's that bad over there for you.
I drink a different hydration drink. I won't say the name because it's, you know, we're just going to talk about the other one. But, no, I didn't know about this phenomena.
Ooh.
But I can understand. I mean, hydration drinks everyone is talking about hydration these days. That's the new healthy thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Stay hydrated.
But they
It's true,
signed-
though. It's really true.
They signed to the UFC recently, so they're not slowing down anytime soon.
Okay.
Now that I've mentioned it, you'll probably see it more. Like the
I will.
don't know if you've ever played Grand Theft Auto, but when you get in a car, you tend to see that car a lot more. It's like a
Yes.
weird phenomenon where we're consciously looking for things without realizing.
Isn't that interesting? We had a really interesting experience this summer because we bought a car that almost no one has. And so we don't see it everywhere. But, you know, it's an Ioniq 5 from Hyundai, and they only sold, I think, like 40,000 of them in the US.
Yeah.
So we see all of them that are
Yeah.
out there, but there aren't very many.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's true. That's happened to me every single time I've gotten a different kind of car.
Nice. Love that.
Every single time.
This could fall flat, this one, because I try to reserve it for group interviews, because if someone hasn't had an experience, then there might be someone else that has. But I am on a bit of a paranormal binge at the moment, and I want to know if you believe in any of that stuff in any aspect, like crystals, energy, illusions, paranormal experiences, if you've had any. The floor is yours.
I am a tarot card reader,
Okay.
so I can read your tarot sometime. And I also believe that there's all kinds of things we don't know. There's all kinds of things science hasn't discovered. There's all kinds of things about physics we don't understand. There's an entire universe out there that is, you know, galaxies upon galaxies. So, I mean, I think all of these things are possible.
Yeah. There we go.
We just don't know everything.
Keep it open-ended. I like it. So yeah, if you do have a paranormal experience, we'll have to get you back on, and we'll have to discuss it.
I did actually have one that was
Okay.
a friend of mine was really, 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 really sick. She had terminal cancer, and the night that she died, I knew it. I felt it, and I felt like a whisper. So I had forgotten about that. But she's actually, I wrote a song about her. The song is Ishtar, and that was about her. And so I think she said goodbye, actually. And then I had one other, I have these feelings. Those are the paranormal experiences I've had. One other one when my aunt, who I was really, really close to, died. And then I had a really weird experience the night before September 11th, 9/11. My work told me, we need you to go to New York, it was Detroit. We need you to go to Detroit in the morning for this contract we're trying to win, etc. So it's a Monday night. I was preparing to go on a trip to Detroit on 9/11. And then I met my husband somewhere for dinner, and as I was driving home, I started weeping. And I didn't know why. I was like, something's wrong. Something's really, really wrong. And I just had this feeling that something was very wrong. And I thought someone was going to die. I felt like someone in my family, something's going to happen. I called all of my relatives. And then the next morning, obviously it was 9/11. My coworker and I landed in Detroit about 20 minutes before the planes hit the towers. And then as we were driving to the client where we were going, my husband called me. And this was back when cell phones were newish, and 2001. And he hated this. He never called me. And I was like, oh, that thing that happened last night, he's calling. Oh my God, and I answer it. Planes are flying into buildings. Are you okay?
Oh my God.
And I immediately knew. I was like, oh my God, that's what it was. That's what happened last night. So I don't know if those are paranormal, but this kind of paranormal.
Bit of intuition and predicting the
Yeah.
future, but not necessarily knowing what the future is.
What's going
Just
on.
having that feeling of like, oh, something doesn't feel right. Yeah.
Yes,
Fantastic.
exactly. And just like overcome. I've never been overcome like that with just like sorrow. It was very, very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, remember it to this day. So
Yeah.
not
Wow.
convenient while you're driving.
No. Oh God, what was it? I think it was Saturday. I was driving, and me and my son spend weekends together for the majority of time. And I honestly thought I was going to die because I sneezed whilst I was driving. And it is literally like, I hope that I can just keep hold of this wheel.
Yes.
I was like, that's terrifying. Like, next time I know that I've got a sneeze, I'm going to have to pull over, because one thing will happen. Like, there's two things that will happen when I think I'm going to sneeze. Is I sneeze or I yawn. And they both
Okay.
require you to close your eyes. I'm like, I can't do this right now, body. I'm trying to drive a car. But my body had other ideas. So there we go.
Yes,
Fantastic.
that happens, right?
So it really does. So we're wrapping up now. So have you got any questions for me? You can ask anything you want, and I'll be as honest as I physically can.
All right. What's your most bedlam moment, Ben?
What's my most bedlam moment? So the reason this is called Absolute Bedlam is because I find it quite hard to focus. And I like so much stuff that I find it quite hard to keep up with my own thoughts. And it's definitely ADHD, undiagnosed ADHD. But sometimes I accidentally interrupt people without kind of realising, because I'm just so excited to get my thoughts and opinions out that I end up apologising for like months afterwards. Most bedlam moments. Wow. I'd say probably setting up OBS to record the podcast. Realising that OBS had an update pending. And Brendan from Wheatus jumping on the Zoom call. Like, I saw, like, my Zoom screen go from one person to two. And I was like, oh, he's actually shown up. Because I always have this thing where, like, if I book a famous person,
Sure.
will they actually come to the dance? Or will they kind of say, oh, sorry, dude, I'm busy now. Like, 4 minutes before I record. So that's probably one of the most bedlam moments I've had, where everything just became very real very quickly.
Right.
But I'm looking to also branch out into reaction videos. That seems to be a hot thing at the moment.
Okay.
I'm planning to do a UK game show podcast.
Ooh.
So the UK game show is called Catchphrase. And I want like a sea of people all around, like as like squares, and I want to host the game show and see how that goes.
Oh,
That'd be
fun.
quite cool. But that's going to be a
I like that
nightmare to
idea.
schedule, because I'm going to have like 9 different people on the call, and people are very, very difficult to book, guys. If you are going to do this, then get ready to get messed around. So yeah, that's probably my most bedlam moment. So there we go. Last question I'm going to ask, and then we'll plug all your socials and talk about the future, is I used to ask everyone what their go-to meal deal was. So in the UK, a meal deal is a main, which is like a sandwich, a wrap, a salad, anything like that, like your main meal. And then you would buy a side, which was like a crisp or a chip, or some sort of snack to go with the main. Or a drink, which could be, you know, Monster, it could be a bottle of Pepsi, it could be a bottle of water, anything like that. But I've ditched that question now, and I want to know what your favourite fast food meal is.
My favorite fast food meal. That's a good question too. It's definitely shifted over the years. When I ate lots of fast food, it was Burger King, Whoppers, and fried onion rings. But now I don't eat things like that anymore. So I would say, in terms of fast food, it's probably going to have to be something from a coffee shop, like a sandwich, a coffee, and chips.
Nice.
Like a local coffee shop, or something like that.
Any in particular?
I love turkey sandwich.
Turkey?
Yeah, turkey sandwich.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your go-to coffee? Have you got a specific type that you like?
Cold press. I
Okay.
like it cold.
Nice. There we go. So, plans for the future. What does 2023 look like for MC EVOL? What have you got planned?
Lots more singles on the blockchain, and then on other services, and then just evaluating how that goes, and what that means and how that shifts things, and lots more time educating myself around music production so I can actually get them out there.
Nice. There we go. Whilst you're doing all that as well, try not to be too harsh on yourself, because I find that I've got this self-imposed level of responsibility now where I'm stacking stuff up. And it's important to breathe, because fundamentally what we're doing as creatives is a hobby. And if it becomes more than that, then that's fantastic. But sometimes I approach these Zoom calls like another job, and sometimes that is not a good creative thing. So learn to breathe and let the things wash over you. I say that with like the most intense level of who have I got next week. So just this constant thing in my head going all the time. But yeah, it's been lovely speaking to you. And
too bad.
We'll have to meet up at some point in the future. And
I hope so.
It's been good. So shout out Cowboy Coda, shout out MC Lars, but most importantly, shout out MC EVOL. So we're looking forward to the future.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Thanks for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing. And I'll speak to you all soon. Keep it Bedlam. Goodbye.
Absolute bedlam.
Hello. Today I'm promoting a product called Set Surf 100% mineral sun cream, safe for sensitive skin and children. So we've got some products here. So we've got SPF 20 lip balm, mineral sunscreen, SPF 50, and water resistant sun cream. And my favourite, rash cream. So when I was out jogging quite a lot, this saved my bacon when I was running at stupid speeds, believe it or not, and going stupid lengths. And rash cream definitely helped me out. So yeah, reef safe, coral safe, www.setsurf.com, shop the range. Use the code BEDLAM20 for 20% off at checkout. Let them know that I've sent you, and yeah. Enjoy.
Absolute bedlam.